Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here, once again with a video on The Flash Season 4, or another video on The Flash Season 4, and a video that, if you do follow me on Twitter, and I think even I might have mentioned it in a video, or at least one of my streams, you would have been looking forward to this video. Now, The Flash is on break until April the 10th. We still got like 2 weeks roughly until that's back, so I thought I would do a video that, some people wanted to see. I did a video a couple of seasons ago called How to Fix Arrow, and I do feel that, I'm not saying like producers or writers or anyone involved with the show watched it, but I just feel that when I voiced my opinions on what needed to happen with Arrow to fix it after Season 4, I feel a lot of that did happen on the show. Now, once again, I'm not saying that the producers watched it and my video is the reason that Arrow was fixed, because obviously that's not the case. I doubt that's what happened. You can believe it if you want, but I don't believe it myself. But a lot of people want me to do the same thing with The Flash, because a lot of people do feel that this season is lacking in a lot of areas. Personally, I like to wait until the season is finished before I completely judge it, but I can understand why people are frustrated just because this season is much different than any season we've had before. So in this video, we're going to be going over a couple things, which I will just dive into in a second, but I do want to go over a couple things regarding my channel. If you don't care about my channel or me as a person individually or anything like that, you can skip to this time in the video right here. I'll put it on the screen right now. Skip to there and you can watch from, the main point of this video onwards, but if you care about my channel and me as a person, I guess, then keep watching until we get on to the rest of the stuff. So I do want to mention 2 things. The first one is bell notifications. A lot of you, especially if you're on Twitter, we know there's a lot of drama a couple of days ago regarding YouTube and its notification system when YouTube itself, or people behind YouTube, like the technical team, uploaded a video and said that, if you have like 100,000 subscribers, for example, maybe only 20,000 of your subscribers are actually getting your videos in their sub box, because they are like the amount of subscribers that are actually subscribed to you that have the bell button pressed and all of these different things pressed to get all of your notifications, which frustrated me as a creator, and it frustrated a lot of people, especially older channels that have been around for like 10 plus years. It kills channels like that and makes it hard for them to grow at all. So if you do care about my channel and you want to see videos, and especially streams, because apparently live streams don't get sent to everyone unless you have the bell notification. I don't know if that's true, but that's just what was sort of hinted at. All you have to do is like down where the subscribe button is, there's like a bell icon, press that, and then with notifications, click all, and then down the bottom of that little box there should say something like include creator posts. Click that, make that ticked, and then press OK or whatever the thing is, maybe done, whatever it says. That helps a lot. It just makes sure that you are getting my videos, hopefully, unless YouTube stuffs up again. It's frustrating. And the other thing is that a lot of people were asking me to do this for like over a year, and I finally budged over the past couple. I was thinking about it more in depth over the past month, and in the past couple of days I have activated it, and that is a Patreon account. So I'm not saying go over there, you have to pledge, but go over, the link will be down in the description. Go check out the rewards and different things you can get. The $1 reward is basically just to help if you want to see the page, like the Patreon feed and stuff like that. It's nothing much, just really $1. It seems like such a small amount, but it does help if there's like, decent amount of people doing it. $5, you get much more stuff, which will include trailer reactions, which I don't like uploading to my main channel, but I will upload trailer reactions to the Patreon. So if you're $5 pledge, you'll get the Patreon stuff or the trailer reactions, and then you can read the other tier rewards and stuff and decide whether you want to get them. And if you say you get the $5 tier, you get whatever tier you get, if the higher up it is, you get the tiers below it as well. So they include all the rewards as you go up. So if you buy the $10 tier, you get the rewards that are there for the $10 tier, plus you get the $5 ones and the $1 ones as well. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, as I said, just go check it out. I'm not like bribing you or making you go do it. Just go check it out and you might want to do it. It's just up to you, but yeah, link will be in the description below. So to start off with the main chunk of this video, I'm going to list the problems with this season that a lot of people have. And then I'm going to go back from right now to season 1. We're going back in time ourselves to the previous seasons. We're going to play out what I would change going forward from season 1 to the present day where we are at the moment, and what little changes I would make that I think would have changed what we have at the moment and would make a better show, if that makes sense. Now, before you have a go at me like, Pagey, it's so easy to look back on it. And I understand. I was going to make that point myself, but someone might have already wrote that down in the comments. Who knows? But yeah, it is easy for me and anyone to look back and go, okay, well, in season 2, this should have happened, and look how it's affected this season. It's easy to do that. But in the present day, in that current time, when you're the writer writing that, you don't know how it's going to affect what different writers might come on board and change things or which directions they will go. It's easy to look back on it and judge it. So I'm not like shooting down the writer saying, oh, in season 2 you made the stupid choice. I'm not. Just personally, if I had a time machine, this is how I would go back and change things. But first, we're going to start off with the problems from this season. But with the whole video, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions. If you agree with my changes, whether you disagree completely. There's going to be some various opinions. I know that I'm ready for it. But be sure to let me know in the comment section down below what you think. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Share the video if you want to various Facebook groups and stuff, because I want this to be like a community video. A lot of people to get involved in, you know, the various opinions. That Arrow one from a couple of seasons ago was a very good one that got spread throughout the community, and a lot of people shared their opinions, which I thought was great. So I'd love if this video got, you know, the same response. Reddit, whatever source you want to use. If you could share it, it would be awesome. And of course, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, I guess. Now I'm going to start off with the one that I know a lot of people are expecting me to have a go at, and I just thought I'd get it out of the way early, just because, well, if you want to watch that, you can leave early after I've talked about it, but that is Iris. So Iris was essentially put into a role last season where she was the center of attention. You know, she was the target of Savitar. Like, the whole back end of the season was stopping Savitar from killing Iris. And obviously that's led into this season. There would have been massive complaints from the get-go if her role was lessened for the season, because last season she was such a focus. So this season she went back to just being, you know, a side character for the most part. There would have been massive complaints. Now, one of my common complaints with Iris is her writing. I think it's a massive issue. Her writing is borderline terrible for the most part, and really turns Iris into a walking plot device rather than a character. And I hate when shows do that, when a character is introduced or a character is just turned into a walking plot device. I think Felicity was a walking plot device in previous seasons. I think season 5 was a really strong season for her. Changed the character. It's taken a step back this season in season 6 of Arrow. But it's much better than what we had previous seasons where she was, as I'm saying, a walking plot device. And I think Iris has basically turned into that. Last season, there was some character, you know, development, if you want to call it that, but it was like a little too late, or it was in small parts. And this season there's been zero of that, and just like Iris, you know, bringing certain things up to move the plot along. Now, the saving grace with Iris, and you might think, oh, it's Barry or something stupid like that. The actual saving grace with Iris is actually the person portraying her, and that's Candice Patton. She does like an incredible job with the material she's getting. Like, what's the term? Like turning rocks into diamonds? Is that the right term to use? Or turning shit into diamonds? Whatever it is. I don't know. She's polishing a turd. She's trying to polish a turd as best as she can, and she's doing a pretty good job at it. And that's like, imagine if she was given like half decent material. Just imagine if she was given half decent material. Like, she won an award last season for season 3, which I think was okay, because as I'm saying, there were some parts in season 3 where I think Iris had really good moments. But this season, it's been a massive issue, and she is working with terrible script work. Hopefully that improves, and I'm hoping with the storyline she's going down that will improve. But yeah, if it wasn't as good of an actress as Candice Patton taking on the role of Iris, then I think Iris would be an even bigger issue than she already is with the fan base. The next talking point is, of course, the humour, which a lot of people were bringing up. So at the beginning of the season, it was a bit jarring, the level of humour. I think that's the best way to put it. I know going into this season, they wanted to make it more like season 1, in regards to the tone. That was due to the negative response to season 3, you know, as a whole, but definitely its tone just felt way too dark for The Flash. But it seemed they were overdoing it to make up for that tone of season 3. Personally, I think it has leveled down a bit since the beginning, and it's okay at the moment. I don't really have an issue with any of the humour after the first few episodes. The worst attempt at humour this season was easily, in my opinion at least, and those that I've talked to, was the counselling sessions between Iris and Barry, which felt they were just literally just implemented for comedic effect. Joking about previous deaths on the show, which wasn't funny to me, at least. I find a lot of stuff funny, but, you know, I'll laugh at most stuff, but that was just, yeah, not funny. Like, there was a scene in those counselling sessions where, like, Iris had a go at Barry, which was a good scene. It's actually probably one of Iris's strongest scenes in this season, but I don't think that had to be done at counselling session. Like, I would have actually preferred if that was done in a private setting between Iris and Barry, rather than that counselling session where it was surrounded by lame attempts at humour. So, yeah, I didn't like that bit. And as I'm saying, the humour was a bit just not that great in the first couple of episodes, but I think after that it's been fine. Personally, you might disagree with me, but that's fine. Now, going into next season, I think this is a common thought with a lot of people. Team Flash has to reduce its numbers. We know Iris is going back to her reporting gig, or at least it looks like that's the case. So this should be like Team Flash's lineup come next season. So ESPN, bring up the scoreboard. We have Cisco as team leader, Caitlin, Harry if he's available, or a version of Wells, but you know, if he gets subbed in, if you want to call it that. He can be like the water boy, one of the two. And then we have Barry, obviously, because he's the Flash. There's no Team Flash without Flash. And then we also have Wally West if he does come back to the show. And personally, I do think Wally West will be coming back to the Flash next season. I just can't see him being on Legends next season. I could be proven wrong. I just think he'll come back to the Flash. Joe West should not be in Star Labs as much as he is, because it's just a bit unbelievable that no one would get suspicious of his whereabouts a lot of the time at the CCPD. It just seems like he can just go off and do whatever he wants and no one really bats an eye. And then Iris, as I said, back to the reporting gig, and she can now allow us to see more of Central City. That is what Iris was in previous seasons. Like, thanks to her reporting job, and even when she was doing the blogging and stuff, or just working at Jitters, she was our like connection to Central City out of Star Labs, other than when Barry was stopping a criminal. So if Barry was Barry, she was like how Barry interacted outside of Star Labs, and it was just our connection to not just Central City as a whole, but just like the general public of Central City. Now the next point to talk about is the villain. Now I know a lot of people aren't necessarily enjoying DeVoe. They might enjoy certain parts of DeVoe, but as the whole thing, they're not really enjoying it that much. Personally, I can understand that, but once again, personally, I do like to see, as I said earlier in the video, the season wrap up as a whole before you can judge a villain's complete thing. Because if you look at Zoom in season 2, personally, going up into the last couple of episodes, I thought it was a better villain than Reverse Flash. I was really enjoying Zoom in season 2 as a whole, but his ending and like his overall end plan and stuff like that was really lame and sort of ruined the character a bit. So DeVoe could have some epic plan at the end and could like really save the character or boost it up a bit more in people's eyes. So as I'm saying, it's sometimes better to wait till the season's actually over before you like completely judge everything. But a lot of people do want to see the villain go back to a speedster. It's, you know, it's simple. As I was saying, I've personally enjoyed DeVoe's storyline for the most part, but if the larger viewing audience don't like it, just go back to what works, and then those same people will complain about too many speedsters next season, and then we'll get all confused again. So people that are changing their minds, pick one option, please. Pick one option. Do you want the speedsters all the time, or are you going to have a whinge every 2 or 3 seasons when there's too many villain speedsters? Just pick one. So, like 2 weeks ago, I sent out a tweet about this video. This video's been delayed a bit. It's just my fault, really, because I was changing like the format of the video constantly. But I did send out a tweet asking people to give me their opinions and maybe one thing they would change about this season going into next season. And here's just a few of those tweets with some music in the background, I guess. So now we're going to move on to changes from previous seasons, and I just need to give a big spoiler warning. Not a spoiler warning, like just content warning, maybe is the best way to put it. A few of these, or most of them, do revolve around Iris, but that's just, it's not bashing on Iris. It's just that like coincidentally, they've just revolved around Iris. Just because big moments in the season revolve around Iris. Like that should actually be a compliment to Iris fans. Anyway. Now there are some minor ones I will include, but I didn't include like every single minor change I would want to put. Otherwise this video or this specific section would be like an hour long. So I had to cut it down to just the major ones and a couple of minor ones here and there. So in season 1, the season plays out, you know, for the most part, just like it did. Barry reveals his identity to Iris when that tidal wave is coming. Remember back in episode 15, I think it was. And he also runs back in time, so that never happens. So Iris doesn't learn about Barry's identity at that point because it's erased from time. But towards the end of season 1, Iris never learns that Barry is the Flash. If you remember back to season 1, Iris learns that Barry's the Flash when he has like her hand and she feels the static electricity, like she did when Barry was in a coma. And then she walks into Star Labs and, you know, gets like the visual representation that Barry's the Flash, and that's how Iris learns that Barry is the Flash. So she doesn't know that Barry's the Flash at that point. However, she does witness Eddie sacrificing himself in order to stop Reverse Flash from killing Barry and everyone else, and essentially that's what leads into season 2. Now season 2 starts off the same way. Team Flash is sort of separated after the events of season 1. Barry's doing things on his own, like we saw, but he also still hangs out with Iris like he normally did, but she is still dealing with Eddie's death. So, constantly Iris might be bringing it up and Barry's constantly feeling guilty about it. So, like, Iris is not even close to moving on at all. We do get that episode where Barry runs back in time in season 2 to the events of season 1, and Eddie records that message for Iris. But it is given to Iris in like a very non-suspect way, allowing Iris to, move on from Eddie. Now, Barry and Iris start dating towards the end of season 2, just innocent dates at first, like friendly dates, and it, escalates, if you want to call it that. But Barry has been dealing with that guilt, as I was saying, all of season 2, as well as the end of season 1 moving into this season. And he feels the need to tell Iris the truth. He has tried at multiple points throughout season 2, we get like examples of that, but always he just, I guess, chickens out from doing it. Now, leading up to the finale, we have Zoom killing Henry Allen just like we had in season 2, but maybe it's done in a way where Henry isn't the only one who dies, just so it isn't, just so it doesn't like single out Barry too much. And Barry, after taking down Zoom, which he had doubted he could do, finally reveals to Iris that he is the Flash. So they kiss, but a rough scene like this would follow. So he sees the West family, Joe, Wally, and Iris sitting down for dinner. And it is just too much for him because Iris has this perfect family, essentially, if you want to call it perfect. But Barry really doesn't have that. And he always feels a bit, not that connected to the West family like he would if it was his own mother and father. So Barry spontaneously runs back in time like we saw at the end of season 2, causing, that's right, Flashpoint. So season 3 starts with the same, except we spend about 3 or 4 episodes in Flashpoint rather than just the one that we got. Killer Frost is actually the leader, or like the main villain, and like the leader of a mini rogues of sort that Barry has to take on, along with Wally as Kid Flash. So this will still be the first time we see Wally as Kid Flash in this Flashpoint timeline. But just like we saw in that first episode of season 3, Barry starts losing his memories as well as his powers and needs to fix everything and return the timeline back to normal. When the timeline is fixed, we do get similar things to what we saw in season 3, so Caitlin's Killer Frost powers are slowly poking their head out. Cisco's brother, Dante, is dead. The West family drama can be in there if it wants to be, but from memory that issue was resolved in like 1 episode, so I don't think it has to be there. It's not that necessary in my opinion. Wally does get his powers the same way, connecting him to Savitar, and Iris knows that Wally has powers. So this isn't a secret between Wally and Iris. Iris knows that Wally is Kid Flash, but at this point, she still doesn't know that Barry is a Flash. So one of the biggest differences, personally for Barry after causing Flashpoint and changing, some slight things is that courage he worked up to finally tell Iris the truth that he was the Flash has just been, erased. So that doesn't exist anymore. So he's going to have to work up the courage once again to reveal the truth about himself. Now, Barry is the Flash trains Wally, but doesn't reveal to Wally that he is Barry for now. So Wally just thinks he's training with the Flash. He doesn't think he's training with Barry Allen, the Flash. And this is when we do get that future scene where Barry runs to the future and we see Barry seeing Savitar kill Iris. So this is in the same episode, it's in the mid-season finale, and this pushes the story forward into the back half of the season. But here is like the one massive change I would have for the back half. Iris never learns that she is supposed to die at all. Even up to the point that Savitar gets her, she has no clue of what's going on. Also, another important point, which you would know I didn't like about last season, Savitar is not future Barry. He is just Savitar who has a vendetta against a future version of Barry. So he's like, well, you know what? I'm going to kill Iris, his love. Ever since Barry saw that future playing out, he was going through multiple options as to how to stop it from happening. Along with training through the scenario, eventually revealing his identity to Wally, revealing what he saw in the future, and getting his help to train for it all along with the final showdown with Savitar. In regards to the final showdown with Savitar, no one dies. Barry is actually able to save Iris. In turn, he sort of like accidentally reveals his identity to her in the moment of relief by not blurring his voice out and just speaking normally, which Iris would easily be able to pick up seeing that they spent most of their lives so heavily connected. And at this point, Barry is sort of relieved that Iris knows, and it was just like sort of, it wasn't meant to happen that way, but it's out there at that point, so, Barry's just a bit relieved. But there is no direct happy ending following this. Barry saving Iris doesn't just make Savitar disappear, he still has to take him on. So there is a massive fight which actually takes him into the Speed Force, as Barry doesn't want any damage done to the surrounding people around him or just the general surroundings of Central City. Now, Wally is also a part of this fight as well. He isn't left out like we've seen in previous seasons where he just gets done with a random task. so Barry can take on the villain. He's involved. Now, within the Speed Force, Barry makes a massive sacrifice in order to take down Savitar once and for all, and tells Wally to get out of the Speed Force. Now, before Wally leaves, Barry gives one simple message to Wally to give to Iris. Now, Wally doesn't want to leave Barry. He doesn't want to go. He wants to fight, Savitar with Barry. But Barry demands and starts screaming at Wally to do so. So Wally gets out in front of Iris. We can't hear what Wally tells Iris. We can just hear Barry screaming. We cut back to the Speed Force. There is a flash of light where Barry and Savitar were fighting, fade to black, and that's the end of Season 3. Now, throughout my Season 3, Caitlin does deal with the Killer Frost issue, very similar to how she did in, the real Season 3. There's a split personality issue, and she goes off with a couple of episodes left in the season. Not right at the end of the season like we actually saw. She leaves around episode 20, 21 or something like that. Now, Season 4 starts off roughly the same, except we get 2 or 3 episodes with Wally as the Flash of Central City, with Cisco helping him out like we saw. The only real change is that Caitlin is Killer Frost. Killer Frost has taken full control over Caitlin, similar to Deathstorm, I guess, from Season 2, where he had silenced Martin Stein. So think of that with Killer Frost silencing Caitlin's, effect on her, if you want to call it that. And that is one of Cisco's story arcs for the season, along with occasional help from Barry, trying to bring Caitlin back. So Cisco's always having conflicts with Killer Frost, trying to make, the connection to Caitlin and bring Caitlin back, but he's always failing. But that's like a massive arc for Cisco throughout the season, and then Barry helps when he can. Now, DeVoe still does the bus meta thing. DeVoe is still the villain for this season, and the season pretty much carries on like we have seen with a few touch-ups here and there, like maybe the bus metahumans are handled in a different way and stuff like that, but for the most part, it plays out the same way. Now, in regards to Iris throughout Season 4, in the off-season between Season 3 and 4, when, Wally was doing his thing with Cisco, protecting Central City, Iris was doing her own thing to, uphold the legacy of the Flash, and she was working even harder as a journalist. In my Season 4, throughout the off-season and stuff, she's won an award for her piece on the legacy of the Flash, which has, pushed her up the ranks of Central City Picture News. Now, her piece doesn't necessarily state that he is dead, but it's just highlighting the importance of him to the city and the sacrifices that he makes on a daily basis. Now, you might be wondering, I did say that Wally is given a message by Barry to tell Iris, and we don't hear what it says at the end of Season 3. Now, personally, I don't know what he would have said. It could have been, I love you. It could have been, will you marry me? It could have been any of those messages. It could have been anything. It was something that we didn't hear. It was just something between Barry and Wally given to Iris. So, I know, you can make up your own mind what Barry would have said. I've just written that down. As I said, there is some couple of options. It could have been, I love you. It could have been, will you marry me? Or anything like that. But, you can make up your own judgment on what Barry would have said to Iris. But guys, that's about it. I know this has been a long video. Hopefully a decent amount of you got through it all, but that's what I would have played out from seasons 1 to 4 in regards to the major plot lines and what it would be, the major points from this season, I guess, that a lot of people were complaining about. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like in the video to show support. Spread the video if you can, share it on Reddit, any Facebook groups you're a part of, Twitter if you want to, any of that good stuff. Just, I want to hear different people's thoughts. I know there's probably going to be dislikes in this video because people disagree with me, but whenever I really give a heavy opinion on something, I always get dislikes, so what can you do? But if you could leave a like in the video to show support, it would be, awesome. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions. Do you agree with certain things I made? Do you slightly disagree when you would change them in a certain way? Or do you think there was something I left out that you would change from the previous seasons or this season that you want to change? Just let me know in the comments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, it'd be awesome if you could subscribe. And I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.